Joshua Adigun. I am a Microsoft certified trainer. In AJ Tech House, I talk about everything tech, right? Everything tech, majoring in Microsoft 365. Today, I'll be talking to you or showing you or teaching you Microsoft Teams webinar. Right, so let's quickly look at the table of content. Getting started with Microsoft Teams webinar. What is a Teams webinar? What are the differences between a Teams webinar, a town hall, and even an ordinary Teams meeting? Yeah, so before I go deeply into today's session, I would like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AJ Tech House, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel before now. And if you are a returning viewer, I would like you to like this video and then share it with your friends and colleagues. So going back to the topic for today, getting started with Microsoft Teams webinar. Basically, a webinar is a two-way interactive section, basically interactive session where we have a presenter and then we have the attendees. So two-way in the sense that the presenter presents, the attendees can also respond to the meeting, basically, and then depending on the settings, basically for the webinar, if Teams mic is allowed, and then if the video is allowed. So basically, what a Teams webinar does is it provides an extra control for organizers over the conversations and then the participants. Quickly, I would also want to say that a webinar basically is a kind of structured presentation, a structured meeting where presenters actually share ideas, and then basically you can presenters also share trainings or provide trainings to their audiences, right? So it's a two-way thing between the presenter and then the attendees. You might be wondering what the difference is between a normal Teams meeting and then a town hall and a webinar. So in webinars, attendees have limited audio and video permissions, right? Unlike the normal Teams meeting. What are the differences between a Teams webinar, an ordinary Teams meeting, and even a town hall? Yeah, so a webinar, like I said, is a two-way interactive virtual event where the presenter delivers information to the attendees. Remember, the attendees have limited permissions to either a mic or the camera. And then the Teams webinar gives the presenter more control over the event or conversations, basically. And then for a Teams meeting is just a normal meeting where you have everybody in the organization join a Teams meeting, depending on if they're invited or not, right? And then they join the organization, they can unmute their mics to talk, they can turn on their videos and all that. So meetings are generally best for situations where participants need to interact with one another. So normal meetings are for collaborative sessions. A town hall is where the presenter delivers a session, a speech, a training, and then the attendees, the participants, do not have a direct conversation or interaction with the presenter. The only way you can interact with the presenter during a town hall is during the Q&A session, right, where you drop your questions, and then there's a moderator that filters out the questions, and then the presenter answers the question. So let me show you a tabular format just to show you the difference between the three: webinar, town hall, and even a Teams meeting. So we have different features, right, that are available to both Microsoft Teams, Webinar, and then Town Hall. The lobby feature is available to Webinar, and then it's available to Teams meeting. However, it's not available to Town Hall. The attendee mic and camera is available to Teams meeting and then to Webinar, where in Webinar the attendees have limited permissions on how to basically use the mic and the camera depending on the settings by the organizer. However, camera is not allowed in town halls. Then for watermarks, for end-to-end encryptions, if you have Teams Premium, you can have it for your Teams meeting. However, it's not available for webinars and it's not available for town halls. So let's see another feature that's available, the registration. Registration is only available for webinars. We would see that right when we try next video I'm going to make on how to create a webinar, and then I'll show you that. And then for team, right? Webinar, you can create a team, you can add a team, you can add a team, and then in town halls, you can also use a team, but for you to use Teams in normal Teams meeting, yeah, you would need Teams Premium and all that, right? We have different webinar features that I would like to quickly speak about. I would like to speak about registration for webinars. We can have a registration form where people invitees, people that want to attend the webinars can go on the webinar page and they register for this for the webinar. So this is just to allow you know, or kind of have like a report of those who registered for your webinar, and then maybe if you want to send them a thank you message or thank you email at the end of the webinar, you have their names, you have their email addresses, and then you can send them a bulk email address, right? And then you also have branded teams, like in the slide that's showing on the screen, right? For branded team that is available to webinar, you can add a team, you can even add your logo to the webinar page. I'll also show you how to actually do that. Then for then presenter bios is another feature in Microsoft Teams webinar, right? Where you can add the bio of the biography, maybe the name, the role of the presenter, the organization the presenter is working with, and then some other things, information you'd like to share. And then this bio information is displayed on the webinar URL. Then we also have webinar reports where you gain insights before and after your event. Yeah. So before the event, webinar report will tell you how many people have viewed the event site, how many people have registered, and then after the event, yeah, it will also show you how many people attended the webinar and how long they were there, and other things also. Then we also have webinar tip, where before the webinar, organizers schedule the webinar in advance, right? And then they decide whether the webinar will be a public webinar or the webinar will be a private webinar. They also, like I said, they also create a form for attendance, right? Where attendees come in and fill out before the event, and then you can also view registration inside, and then that's for the organizers. And then for attendees, you can view the event details and the event page. You can see the presenter's bio, and then you can even receive a branded email containing the webinar information. And then during the webinar, right, that's webinar tips, you can also, what external webinar attendees will depending on the setting, you can decide to say let them wait in the lobby right after they join the event. Then someone will admit them in, and then in a public webinar, attendees won't be able to turn on their mics or even their cameras, right? So, and then the presenter has control over the audience participation. You can use polls to engage your audience during the event. So that's another feature that's available in webinar. And then external presenters can join the the event. So it's not just limited, like I mentioned earlier. The webinar can be a private event or a public event, and even if you choose a public event, you have external presenters that are even outside your organization, who can also present in your webinar, and then their bio is also displayed on the on the webinar page. And then after webinar, organizers can view and download webinar reports, which actually gives you insight as to who registered, who attended, and how long were they in the webinar, how long did they stay in the webinar. So anyone can schedule a webinar, right? Depending on the settings in your organization. So the settings can be carried out or can be tweaked by the administrator, right? And who can register for a webinar as long as it's a public webinar, and then everybody have access to the webinar link, they can register for the webinar. Thank you very much for watching my video and for listening to me. Please, if you have not subscribed, you're not doing the right thing. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel again for my returning viewers, and then kindly share, like the video, and share with your colleagues and friends. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye bye.